Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode, episode number 108 today for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Season 6. If you did miss the last episode, episode number 107 at the Canadian Grand Prix, be sure to go check that one out before you see the rest of this one, a very chaotic Canadian Grand Prix. And as Azerbaijan is usually we'll probably have another chaotic one here for round number 8 of this season. We move into practice, and at the moment, I haven't really mentioned it ever yet about this whole column system on the engine. Really just due to the Mercedes being pretty bulletproof, actually, surprisingly, considering they pretty much had shocking reliability for the first 5 seasons of this career mode. Only when I've come to the team have they been pretty damn solid, which is kind of puzzling in a way. Obviously, the player, it's very hard for the player to have any sort of reliability issues unless you're really killing one of those components. But obviously, since the start of the season, we've known that, quite stupidly, actually, Mercedes spent most of their resource points on the reliability. So we're still very much on column 1 for a lot of the components, apart from the internal combustion engine, which you would expect being the kind of most crucial part, and then also getting towards a little bit to the high end, the turbocharger. But the MGUK, the MGUH, control electronics, all that, all very fine, still around 35%-ish, which is very, very decent considering where we are at this point in the season. Round number 8, where, this is actually the midway stage between the second quarter and the third quarter. Obviously, if you divvy up the season, 20 rounds, 4 different columns for each component, it makes sense to do every 5 rounds. So we're at round 8, so we're only 2 away from, basically being allowed to use up column 2, and I'm hardly even on column 2 for a number of components. So very, very decent stuff there. But going into the Azerbaijan Grand Prix qualifying then, we've known since Season 1, Azerbaijan, very tricky place for me personally. I've never really gelled too much with the circuit, although last season we had a very decent race around here, and generally the last 2-3 seasons, I would say, I've had a bit more kind of luck and, some fun with it around the race. It definitely can cause some very dramatic and interesting racing when things go awry with the AI. That's a big if, but we moved through into Q1 very swiftly, got through no problems, and we move into Q2 then, and I tried really hard to get into Q3 on only 1 set of tyres, saving 2 sets then for 2 Q3 runs to really try and get ourselves up the order on the grid, because, coming off the back of Canada, frustrated we couldn't do anything more than what we got there, and also, really you would think with the Mercedes power, we should be going well around here. Mercedes in general, the AI cars have gone very well indeed anytime we've come here in the previous season, so we did manage that then, thankfully, just about in 10th place there, which was a little bit nerve-wracking in terms of the pace we showed in Q2, but we've got those 2 sets now, and so we can do 2 laps in Q3, so you can see that first one, little bit wide on the wall there into turn 2, so probably lost some time there. So definitely that already kind of sussing out in this first run basically where I can find some time. So it's almost like, even though I'm trying to push hard on this first flying lap in Q3, it's very much almost like a banker lap of, okay, I can suss out maybe where I'm losing some time here, and I can try and figure out where I can gain some. And it's also useful to obviously have the delta on the top right. I feel like it just gives you a bit more motivation to continue on fighting and try and find extra tenths. And you saw there straight away in turn 1, we found 2 tenths very easily just by going a little bit deeper and more aggressive on the curbing. And so as we swing through now the S section, and then we cut on later to the back, to the main straight across the line, it is actually very, very surprisingly P2. Now, a lot of the AI you would notice maybe haven't set blistering lap times like I thought they would have. Hulkenberg put in the time for pole position, and Hamilton actually is there in P5. So actually, in terms of where we are on the grid with Hamilton, it does seem like the car generally, like I said, is going very well there at BAKU. But I did not expect to be on the front row of the grid, which is absolutely got me in a great mood for the race now, to be ahead of both Force Indy cars there and one of the other Renaults. And it looks like good for us and good for the championship, I guess, as a whole, as a spectacle, is the 2 Red Bull cars a little bit down the order, and the Ferrari car of one especially Sebastian Vettel, who's in the championship fight with the 2 Red Bull cars. So looking forward to this one now. Let's get to the full grid, and then we'll get into this race and see what we can do from a very exciting front row start.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Nico Hulkenberg lines up on pole position, and a Mercedes alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ocon, Perez, Lewis Hamilton and Ricciardo, Verstappen, Vettel, Raikkonen and Jolyon Palmer, Sainz, Magnussen, Felipe Massa and Grosjean, Kvyat, Alonso, Lance Stroll and Stoffel van Dorn, Ericsson and Pascal Wehrlein completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, so here we are on the grid for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, greeted with the sight I'm not used to here at this circuit. Absolutely nothing apart from my engineers ahead of me as we are on the front row of the grid. We're on the left-hand side, so we do have the inside run to turn 1, so potentially could make a move there. That'll be important due to us doing the one-stop here today, super soft to the soft tyres. I think that'll be the best bet. We're not going to have the pace to make the two-stop work, so try and get track position, try and defend, and see what we can do from there. So let's get into that then as we go to 5 red lights for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in Baku for round number 8 of Season 6. We're underway as the lights are out. It's a good start for us, but an equally good one for Nico Hulkenberg. Into turn 1, you can see a bit of a half-hearted attempt at making the move to the inside. Lock up on the left front tire, and ultimately Nico Hulkenberg has got that covered off, so he's already in first. He's already waltzing away, I should say, in first place. Ocon there in third place, and then a bit of a kind of a gaggle of cars behind us, and it looks like maybe that was Hamilton that was pushed into the wall almost. There was a 3-wide moment. It all got kind of very close behind us, so thankfully we're not caught up in that. That was definitely always the case, from seasons gone by here at Baku. Is turn 1 and turn 2 were deadly in terms of getting hits and making contact, and here we look at a replay now on board with our teammate Lewis Hamilton. He's on the outside of Sergio Perez. There's another car on the left-hand side, and Hamilton gets hit into the wall. It's the Red Bull there that made it 3 wide into turn 2, which is, it's tricky enough, 2 wide, let alone 3. And so Hamilton loses a bit of his end plate, although he does have the speed to overtake Sebastian Vettel, I think that was, and try and get up the order. And then you've got the front wing there of one of the Renault cars peeking to the inside. So the Ferrari cars definitely looking like they're down on deficit power in general, as now we move back to our racing POVs. We go through the S section on the end of lap 1 towards lap 2, trying to chase down our former teammate Nico Hulkenberg. Esteban Ocon not too far behind in the Force India, but here we go already. Rich Mix going in the slipstream. Obviously we've seen it so many times before, this slipstream, and the top end speed is just ridiculous no matter what car, apart from maybe the McLaren, Honda and Saubers, let's be fair. It's just ridiculous down that straight with DRS. Even without DRS, obviously, like we just did, just Rich Mix in the slipstream effect, because it's such a long straight. It's like overtaking someone on the motorway. It's very simple there. So we're up into P1, but now very easily, in a similar way, it's going to be easy for Hulkenberg, or maybe even Esteban Ocon or Sergio Perez, actually, who's now in P3. So Perez has overtaken his teammate there. So I've got both my former teammates now. It's almost like a ghost of former teammates past trying to chase me down, as now Hulkenberg does send it to the inside from quite a ways back, and it's a great little move. We make contact on the exit, so it's getting a little bit frosty and a little bit aggressive here as I lose the back end on the exit of turn 1. So I unintentionally made contact with Nico, and thankfully he's still there, so no harm done. But now you can see Perez trying to make a move to the inside there. Is he going to make it 3 wide? We're on the outside for this turn. This was the place where Hulkenberg, remember, squeezed us out nearly into the wall in the previous season. So thankfully make it around the outside there. I'm going to keep P1. Hulkenberg keeps P2 for now. Sergio Perez right up his chuff though for P3. And as we swing through now on the next lap, Perez now on the left-hand side. He's got the DRS on Nico Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg trying to defend, trying to get a toe off me, but ultimately it looks like Perez is going to have the straight line speed. You can see now Perez moves into my slipstream, is going to get slipstream off me, and now he may even try, well, it looked like he maybe tried a tiny little move to the inside there. Locked up though as he goes into turn 1. Hulkenberg, to be fair to him, is trying to keep this P2 around the outside, but Perez is going to squeeze him and just about makes it cleanly into P2 then to defend that position. And Nico now is under threat from Esteban Ocon, so that will leave now as we move on to the end of lap 4, onto lap 5. Sergio Perez now to try and overtake me. So my most recent former teammate now with DRS. You would imagine Rich Mix. He's looking like he's going to go on the right-hand side. I'm staying to the left-hand side to keep the inside defensive line here into turn 1, although we go back to the racing line, kind of park it in the middle of the circuit. But to my surprise, instead of Sergio Perez around my outside, it's actually going to be Nico Hulkenberg to come back and take the lead of the Grand Prix. I don't know what on earth where he came from. He must have been tucked up right behind Perez and just didn't see him in the mirrors there, and he's got round us in turn 2. So we open the DRS though, as he obviously crossed the line ahead of us for the activation point. So here we go to the inside then, so opting for this probably easier line for us actually to try and overtake him there, although the corner does tighten up and actually Nico gets the shoulders out. So it looks like I made the wrong decision. I should have just kept around the outside there and just risked the fact that he could have squeezed us out into the wall again, because he's kept first place then. The corner just tightened up way too much for me on the left hand side, and so now we're going to struggling to keep the back end in check then as we enter the end of lap 5 into the S section. And now Perez is looking very dangerous indeed, and Hulkenberg is getting away from us now. So at the moment, a little bit worried that actually we may have just lost the opportunity to keep the lead of this Grand Prix and try and control the race in that way, because now Perez is coming towards us, although with DRS now we're getting away. Look at that. Okay, that is just ridiculous. Look at the speed we've just gained there on Hulkenberg. I said it was OP. I really didn't think it was that OP. Hulkenberg was miles ahead of us, and I was just getting ready to say that Perez may make a move on us, but no, down that straight, even with that long range toe and DRS and the power of Rich Mix on the Mercedes engine, we got back into first. So this is all rather enthralling, swapping the positions with race lead left, right and centre in the opening 6 laps here. And now Perez maybe tries it down the inside. It's close. Oh, yellow flags. Oh, Perez has crashed. He's into the wall. Virtual safety car's being called out. Sergio Perez is trying to move down the inside. He's been very brave. He's come from a long way back. Look how far he comes back from. And then he just slams into the wall. That is the point of contact. I've paused it there to just show you. That is the point of contact. I left, well, I thought it was going to be Hulkenberg I was leaving room for if he was going to try a diving move. Didn't expect Perez to come out of nowhere, and he's done on the inside. He could have easily made that and made some contact with me in doing so, but no, he just turns in too early, slams into the wall, and he's got his left front tyre off. So again, drama at Azerbaijan there, and he's out of the Grand Prix. So we're still in first place now on lap 7. It's Jolyon Palmer now in second place, as Nico Hulkenberg's made an early pit stop now for his, I don't know, his first pit stop. I would assume it looks like maybe Nico's trying a 2-stop here this afternoon. Meanwhile, now Palmer down the inside, and he's locked up on the right front tyre, and he's just bullied his way past. So that's how you do it, Perez. You want to go down the inside, just lock up a little bit and force the way through. Don't need to hit the wall and do it. And so Palmer into first place, and now the other Force India, that's when Ocon is now attacking us on towards lap 8 round the outside. We're going to have to try and get the elbows out if we can, really squeeze him towards the curbing on the outside, but we're getting hustled and harried now, and we're going backwards in this Grand Prix. Down the inside of turn 2 though, over the curbing. We're going to have DRS though on this next race, so tuck in behind Esteban Ocon and just be a bit patient and try and get this back into turn 3. So gaining the speed now, and where we're going to go, to the inside this will be, and this is how you do it. Perez for the second time now. Palmer did it to me. I'm going to do it to Ocon down the inside. A little bit of a lock-up, but actually it's going to be Ocon to keep it, unfortunately. I can't do what Palmer managed to do. And now, as we move a little bit later into that same lap, Raikkonen now dives it to the inside, catches me off guard, and I can't do it. I can't keep it to the outside there. We have to let him go, and we're down to 4th place now. So this race is turning from what was a very exciting, first place, keeping first place, to now we're going way down the order, down to P4. But we're going to keep fighting, and we know already how powerful the DRS is, and so we're going to keep within the range of Raikkonen and going to get DRS. We have Rich Mix to use, so here we go. Pop the DRS when the line comes now, and we're going to just tuck in behind. Where he's going to go? He goes to the left-hand side, darts quite early there to the defensive line. It's not going to be any use though, because we're clearly right past him, and we're back up into 3rd place. So good to see we can at least re-overtake Raikkonen, but you can see Esteban Ocon now and Palmer are getting away from us. So we may have just lost this fight with the Renault and Force India, but at least we can be ahead of the Ferrari car, well, both Ferrari cars and both Red Bulls at this stage of the race. We haven't even seen the Red Bulls apart from on lap 1 on Hamilton's on board when we looked at that replay there. So promising, obviously, for the championship. We're, closest to Vettel and the 2 Red Bulls. So to be ahead of both of them, very, very good in this race, even if we are not going to maybe challenge for the win, with Palmer looking very, very strong, actually surprising. It's been 6 seasons now. I'm never going to get used to saying it. I don't think you guys are ever going to get used to hearing of Jolyon Palmer having such a strong drive at the moment and looking good in the lead of a Grand Prix. But we strap on this set of soft tyres then. We went actually 4 laps-ish longer than pretty much everyone else. You can see Magnussen join us with us, and that's going to guarantee us to make this one-stop work, although we have lost time because people have got a really good undercut. So Raikkonen's got us back. You can also see one of the Red Bull cars has got us, and he's also got Raikkonen. I can't quite tell which Red Bull it is. I think it's Verstappen. He's overtaken both myself and Raikkonen, but now I've only got 13 laps to go on soft tyres, so going to be comfortably going to the end now without too much tyre wear. Obviously, I suffered on the super soft tyres. They were really getting worn out on the rear tyres, but it was kind of a compromise to be more comfortable now on this stint, whereas now Raikkonen may be struggling later on in this race. The likes of Verstappen, I'm not even sure at this stage if Palmer and Ocon are doing a one-stop or a two-stop. If they try the one-stop, they're going to have their work cut out because they pit very early indeed. I do believe Hulkenberg at this stage is definitely doing a two-stop as he went on to another set of super soft tyres. But you can see there we've nipped at the inside. Very, very close action there with Raikkonen. He almost kind of put us in the wall. thankfully not, and we're up the order into P3. Now we can go chasing after Max Verstappen, who's done very well somehow to get ahead. I want to think he's on a conscious strategy, but we'll just have to kind of deal with it and try and overtake him fair and square either way. And as we move on now towards lap 17, we are catching him, and we're going to be confident, obviously, of that long-range tow. You can see Verstappen's quite some way away, but literally not too much work for us to do here. Just keep it nice and calm, be patient. You're not going to lose or gain too much time through the S section, honestly, with any kind of different racing line, unless you're in the wet and you're maybe lifting off and coasting on intermediate or something like that. But, in the dry, very easy stuff. DRS open, rich mix going on the left-hand side. It's like you're making a move on the M40 or anything, something like that. Just any sort of motorway, really, that you want to have if you're not in the UK. Just any motorway of your fancy, and you make a move on the overtaking lane, and we're up into P2 now. So not too sure where Ocon is. Palmer's there in first place, but yeah, I just realised that. So Esteban Ocon has maybe had some sort of issues, I'm not too sure, but at the moment we've lost track of where he is in his race. So somehow we're in P2 now on lap 18. As we go down this straight now, you're about to see on the left-hand side, look at the mini-app there, you've got a dot in the pit lane as we come down into turn 1. It's going to be close stuff here, actually, and this is Jolyon Palmer coming out the pit lane for a second pit stop. It is close, so just showing how much of a gap he had and how far dominating he was in first place. But now he's down in P3, and out of nowhere, we've now come out in first place of this Grand Prix. And remember, we're going to the end of this race, so well, at the moment we're holding the lead, so brilliant stuff. But now we move on to a replay of Jolyon Palmer now as we go through the next few stages of this race with what was from lap 18 to lap 26, 8 laps to go in this race. Palmer now is making a move around lap 20-21 to the inside of Verstappen. Verstappen actually comes in the pit lane, so Palmer has to count himself lucky there that he made the pass very early, otherwise that could have been a crash as Verstappen nipped into the pit lane. And then there is Esteban Ocon in third place, so he made an earlier pit stop for his stop there, and probably smart of him maybe, although Palmer had so much of a gap that it didn't work. Even if he got a major undercut, it wasn't going to work. Although you can see though, Ocon's got some great pace, and although his tyres may be 1 or 2 laps older, he's going to make the move. He's going around the outside. Palmer fights back though to the inside of turn 1, shoves him off a little bit. I would suspect there's a bit of contact made there, but you can see we're not too far off there. So obviously we don't have amazing pace around Azerbaijan, so although we do have first place, we need to make sure that we play it clever, and just watching this battle with interest, because obviously the longer these two battle, the better for us, because we can get away. But here goes Ocon to the left-hand side. Then will he have any issues like his teammate Perez? Don't think so. And he actually, bravo, he's done a great job to squeeze out Palmer, and he's opened up the steering wheel perfectly at the right time, and he's up into second place. And now we move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix now, lap 26 out of 26, and here comes Ocon now. He'll have DRS down this back straight after we exit turn 2, over the bump, a little bit of time lost there, and now we go down. We've got Rich Mix going, but Ocon's going to have a really good run. Obviously we know how good and low drag that 4-cylinder is. Of course, we made it that low drag in season 5, so here he goes round the outside. We're to the inside. We're going to squeeze him towards the curbing and the wall. He's still there though, and he's going to send his nose in, so we leave him room on the next right-hander, but on the exit, get the traction. He's on the outside. It's the worst place to be on this next chicane. It's so off-cam, but the curbs are deadly, and so we squeeze him out, and we're going to keep P1. And so now we move on to the last few corners in this Grand Prix now. One last sector to go, and we could come home for a very hard-fought but also miraculous victory, I would say, at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So here we go through that last little kink now coming up. We're trying to break the toe that Ocon's getting on the right-hand side. We move to the left-hand side now, just, last little bit, because he's so close. The same with Jolyon Palmer. As we go down towards the line, it's going to be almost a photo finish. He keeps gaining and gaining, but across the line, it is first place at Baku at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But look how close that was. Literally, I think less than 100th between myself and Esteban Ocon, and even Palmer was within less than half a second, even less than that, I think. But what a great victory here at Baku. Obviously, we lucked into a little bit, but I say luck, actually. It's just the one stop working out. The others just couldn't manage it, and I was a bit clever about staying longer on the super soft tires on that first stint to then allow us to easily do the one stop on soft tires. And then, of course, when you got track position in Formula 1, it's all just about defending the position. We did that as best we could, and Ocon had his chance at that 26 there, and we did the job to squeeze him out, and so we got first place. So I'm very happy with that. Azerbaijan, as I said earlier, it's not a place I go well at generally, and it's not a place I enjoy driving very much either, but you know, that was a nice one. That was a surprising and very nice win here, and that's really going to change things now for the outlook on the season coming up, because now we're splitting the 2 Red Bull cars and we're only a couple of points off the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Ricciardo's behind us in P3. Vettel now is the one a little bit down the order, getting away from both Red Bull cars and myself. And constructors-wise, we're back into second place. Obviously, Ferrari got that back from us. But now Ferrari, due to Palmer scoring so well and Ferrari so badly, they're down to 4th. So they're kind of getting back to where they were at the end of Season 5. Because obviously, so far this season, I've been surprised at the resurgence of Ferrari. Because last season, they were going down and down and down. And Force India and Renault were the ones beating them consistently. And so now, slowly, that's looking more the case now in Season 6. So it's almost like the pre-season, obviously, from the end of one season to the next, kind of brings back the natural things, the running order, but then slowly it gets back into the old rhythm of how it was in reality in the previous season with, as I said, Force India and Renault were beating Ferrari consistently. But now, at the end of the episode then, looking at the R&D tree, seeing where I'm making upgrades, I wanted to do something on the chassis, the tyre wear to be specific, but I've already got, obviously, the major weight redistribution working on, so I can't do the simultaneous developments yet. I don't have that perk yet with the new team in Mercedes, so my hands were forced, kind of, and I thought, you know, we're going to do it sooner or later, so let's go for it. Let's pick an engine part upgrade, and we'll have that come for Austria. Obviously, Austria is a power circuit, very short lap, and so engine power does matter, and you can see we're just a tiny bit behind Ferrari, and we are behind Red Bull and Force India, to surprisingly say, so I think it's going to be a positive step forward, really, at Austria, even though maybe not the most kind of logical place for us to spend our resource points, but we already have the chassis side in development, so I can't do too much about that. So yeah, that's where we're going with for the next episode. But guys, if you have enjoyed this one, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're not here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. And depending on when you watch this, I hope you have a good Christmas tomorrow, or if you're watching this on Christmas Day, I hope you're having a great one. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, whichever day that is. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.